There's a remarkable investigative journalist called Gavin McFadyen, and Gavin runs something called the Centre of Investigative Journalism in London. And Gavin is also one of the board members of the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, and I'm the editor of the Bureau. And Gavin had a close relationship over time with Julian, and Julian had been staying at his home when Julian was here talking about the Afghan leaks. And so, given it was such a big story, I was on the phone to Gavin saying, please let me meet Julian. We arranged to meet. Julian revealed to me that there was this enormous amount of data that was coming out. At the time, it was coming out quite quickly. I think we had around 4 or 5 weeks to do it because he had already tied up with a lot of the newspapers. We talked about it, and I said, well, we both agreed that it was probably useful to try and get as many broadcasters in as possible. Now, the broadcasters and print world operate at a slightly different pace. It takes a lot more time to get something out on broadcast. But we thought, let's have a stab at it. And it was initially 5 weeks, but it eventually became 10 weeks, where we worked towards doing 2 major films. One, which was a documentary that was on Channel 4 Dispatches, and the other was a studio series of films that was for Al Jazeera Arabic and English. And then on the Monday, I was calling up commissioning editors and making contacts with people who I had previously worked with and saying, look, we've got access to this. Do you want to get in and us make a film for you? And there on in, we were mining the data. We had an incredible researcher called James Ball who understands how data is managed. And he, along with a team of 16 or 17 researchers, basically took the data, did searches, and found the real meat on the bones of the data, which is incredibly hard to read initially. This is the largest media enterprise in history in terms of mining a data source and going at the same time. And it has been fraught at occasion. There have been vicious journalists trying to spin stories about this that were untrue. There have been lies in the press about this. That is one part which I've had to deal with as an editor. The other part, which is this insistence, and necessary so, of editorial independence. The Bureau has been working editorially independent of WikiLeaks. We are collaborating, but we are editorially independent. Al Jazeera Arabic and Al Jazeera English are showing a number of shorter reports based around a studio discussion. Now, they're probably going to reach around 60 million people. The Dispatches film that we've made will hit 1 million people in the UK, and you'll probably end up showing it around the world with a variety of other networks, and we may get 20 million plus. I believe that the last time WikiLeaks showed the Afghan data, between 1% and 2% of all internet traffic went to WikiLeaks. Now, the tens or hundreds of millions of people who ended up looking at the Afghan data will also be directed to sites like iraqwarlogs.com. The Guardian, Der Spiegel, Le Monde, and New York Times will obviously have millions and millions of readers. I believe that this will be known by hundreds of millions of people around the world. And the Department of Defense's response, saying this isn't really giving anything new to our understanding of Iraq, is completely false. The information we found in these logs completely rewrites history books, because the politicians are shown to be lying to the public. They definitely knew facts, and then they claimed other facts. The military have been shown repeatedly to be in full knowledge that torture was going on amongst, let's say, the Iraqi army, and yet at the same time, the American military handed over personnel to organizations they knew were torturing suspects. These sort of things have been hinted at in the press, but nobody has proved it. This is proof.